today's video, I want to talk quickly about template routing. You can see here that I have a template, and this is a template I made with track saw and refined it with some files and sandpaper just to make it perfect. This is the template for the sawhorses for the Paulk bench. I need to make 4 of these so that I don't have to lug around these big heavy steel foldable sawhorses anymore, and this has hinges that will connect to it that are going to drop into slots in the bottom, so the positioning will be the same all the time. It is a Ron Paulk design. You guys see me build the top of the Paulk bench. I'll direct you to Ron Paulk's site so you can get the plans for this if you want. It's a really cool bench, and it's already been serving me greatly in the job site and in the shop. So let's talk a little bit about the template guides, or what most people know them as router bushings. Let's get a little bit closer and I'll show you the set that I have, and it does fit the Festool router, which is a plus. It does fit obviously Porter cable because it is a Porter cable set. So let's get a little bit closer so you can see what these bushings consist of and how you can attach them to your router. This is the Porter cable bushing set, and it works with Porter cable router. It works with other models as well. I'm not sure which ones. You can check on the site. I'm going to link this in the description, so if you need to purchase it, you'll know where to get it. So this plate right here, this is a self-centering plate that Festool provides with their OF 1400 router. This plate right here goes in the bottom of the router to accept these bushings. Now the bushings that come in the set here, all different sizes, it has a ring that has knurled edge on the outer part of it, the outer diameter, and that's for grip. The inner part is threaded, and all the bushing pieces, or the guide bushings, they ride along the side of your workpiece or your template that you're going to be routing. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute here. But what happens is these go inside of the plate that comes with the router, and then the top piece screws in like this, and that's how you attach that to the plate for your router. I'm using a 1/2 inch upcut spiral bit. That's going to give me a nice clean cut, and then with the plunge base router, you're going to be using this pretty much mainly on a plunge router. You can see how the bit will protrude through there, and you have a bit of clearance between the bit and the outer and inner part of the bushings. So what you have to do is you have to figure out the offset that you need, which on here, right on the bushing guide, it tells you all the inner and outer diameter parts for the clearance here on your template guide. So what you need to do is figure out your offset. So basically what's going to happen is when you're routing on the template like this is going to, the bushing is going to hit onto the template, and you're going to guide it along, and you're going to run it through the whole piece. It's kind of like using a router flush trim bit with a bearing on, but this is more accurate. So this is kind of like turning your router into a CNC. Okay, so now let's talk about this offset for a second. This particular bit with this particular bushing for this offset is going to be a 3mm offset from the outer diameter to, which is going to contact my template, to the outer diameter of the bit. So that 3mm has to be doubled, so that's really a 6mm offset. So if I need a piece to be 100mm wide, I have to subtract 6, 3 from each side, and then I have a 94mm wide template. And then when I route around that 94mm wide template, my actual workpiece that I need to be 100mm will be 100mm. Okay, so now let's get into putting the sheet of plywood that I need on the table. I'm going to be using 18mm maple plywood, and I'm going to be making the sawhorses out of that. I found the best way to do this is to just screw the template down to the piece that you're going to be routing out, and that's because these are just sawhorses, so I'm not worried about any screw holes, and I could just fill them if I wanted. But if you have concerns that you're doing a project and you need it to be perfect, then you just use double stick tape for this, or find a way to clamp it down. Okay, once we have that all set up, now we can plunge the router in at 1/2 of the depth of the material you're working with. Now I have 18mm plywood, so I'm going to route down 9mm. I'm going to do my first pass, and then I'm going to plunge the router down to the full depth of, I'm going to make it 19mm, just 1mm past the full depth, and that'll take me right down through the material, making the final cut. You don't want to make the final cut all in one shot, because you could bind up the material and get a lot of chatter. Now another tip is to move the router in the correct direction, and if you'll see what I'm doing, I'm always moving to the right, and that's the correct direction that you need to be moving the router in. Otherwise, if you're going backwards, you'd be taking a climb cut and you could get some tear out and chatter that way. So you're not doing any climb cutting here. You want to just move in the direction that it's supposed to be, which is towards your right. Now, no matter how good your dust collection is, this is going to be a messy situation here. So make sure that before your next and final pass, you clean off all that dust so it doesn't impede your cutting. And now this is the second pass. We're going to go full depth and make the complete cut through on this. And now after I remove this piece, you can see how clean the cut is. Now I'll continue to route around at full depth the whole outside of the sawhorse, cutting it completely away from the rest of the plywood. Now I've sped up the video footage here, but each one of these sawhorses takes completely 10 minutes to do. So that's 5 minutes for the first pass and about 5 minutes for the second pass in total. And that's because you're moving at a slow pace where you don't get any chatter and you really don't want any tear outs. You want a nice clean cut. Take your time, you don't want to wobble. So 10 minutes each sawhorse, there's 4 of them, that's 40 minutes, not too bad. Now I can just unscrew the template and remove my final workpiece and see how it turned out. And I've got to say, it's a pretty clean cut. Everything is exactly a tight radius, and there's nothing that I would change about it. This set right here for the porta cable bushings that fit the Festool and porta cable and some other routers, I'm going to link this in the description. Make sure you guys check that out for all the tool links. These turned out great. I rounded over the edges with a small 1/8 inch round over bit on the trim router, just so I can break all the edges. This way they're not sharp. So you can see these are all exactly the same size, so using that template is perfect. I'm glad you guys got to see me do this. Now all I need to do is connect these sawhorses with hinges so that they sit like this, and you can see these are made to hold material on the top and bottom shelf or legs of these sawhorses, and the top hinges will sit in a recessed hole in the bottom of the table. So I'm going to get started on that. I'm going to have, you can see this piece right here, that's for the straps. There are some heavy duty buckle straps that will go through there, so you can adjust them so they stop at the right point for the height of the sawhorses. Okay guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely check out the link in the description for this set of bushings and all the other tools I'm using. And if you purchase any of those tools, they'll be the same price that you would normally pay, but I will get a small commission off of that affiliate purchase. So that's a good way to help out the channel and support me here, what I'm trying to do. All right, I'll see you next time.